What would earning the equivalent of 70,000 US dollars a year mean to you? I'm on pace to make 135k in a high cost of living area this year, so it would be major pay cut. Me and my wife split the mortgage S&D house bills, and I could still pay my half. I could barely have all the same material things, but I would be living paycheck to paycheck. I would not go on any vacations when I usually go on 1 or 2 a year, usually 1 international vacation and 1 road trip vacation, and I would not be able to save any money for retirement. I would also be way more frugal at the grocery store and rarely eat out. I live in a local area. When I finished college, my first yearly salary was $28,000 in 2015. It was really hard then. In 2022 my salary was $45k, and that was just as hard. In 2023, my salary was $75k. It was slightly less hard. Earning $70k in my area is just enough to start getting ahead, but not enough to be set for life like I thought it was in 2010 lol. On top of the economy, just wanting to enjoy a higher quality of life and save for the future is really expensive and hard if you're under $50,000. I earn a little over that, and it means I'm getting by. Luckily I got my house in 2016 when it was still affordable, otherwise I'd be struggling hard. My bills are paid, but I still have student loans and personal loan payment I took out that I'm paying on, so I have little to nothing in terms of savings. I have to make small trips at a time at the grocery store, so my house is never truly stocked with food. 70k is honestly the new 40k today. And even then, it doesn't go that far. I make that in the US. Up until 2019, it was considered a great wage, especially in the area I live. My job was also considered a good job. Since then, with inflation out of control and the housing market in the shitter, it's almost barely enough to support a family and have any sort of life other than work and sleep. I know I'm fortunate compared to some, but man, I've worked so hard for 20 years to get to where I'm, and it feels like they keep moving the goalpost. I wouldn't be able to afford life and would have to significantly reduce my expenses, live in a cheaper home, get rid of the car and motorcycle, get a cheap and used car, eat out less often never, cancel the gym, bulk shop for discounted groceries only. All that includes the idea that I still want to add a fixed amount of money to my managed index fund every month, so that I will still be on track to retire before age 50. I could actually hope to meet my needs, pay back my student loans, budget for emergencies, and save a little for retirement. Ask me how I know. I had a job that paid me that for about a year. Unfortunately, our division of the company went under. Would have helped if the CEO hasn't put his mistress in charge of our division, with hefty salary and luxury apartment furnishings, nice leased car paid out of our budget. $70,000 a year would be a base salary cut for me down to 1/3 of my current salary. Doesn't include any possibly yearly bonuses either. I will have to dip into retirement savings early to keep making house payments. We would have to stop daycare for my youngest, and we would have to hold off on some minor surgeries that are scheduled for the beginning of next year, 1 each for my wife and myself. I used to think that making $70,000 a year meant I had arrived. Got my big boy job with my big boy pants. I'll tell you what guys, with a wife, 3 kids, and a pretty typical life, that $70,000 doesn't go very far anymore. I absolutely know to many people it's a godsend, and it is absolutely something I am thankful for every day, but believe it or not, sometimes things can feel pretty thin. If I earned it, that would be a huge sense of relief for my family, as we would not have any financial worries anymore. If my wife earned it, that would mean I would have to get a full-time job, and we would have to make some serious changes in our child care, or we would have to move because she wasn't making enough anymore. That is less money than the median US household earns, just an FYI. From what I am making right now, over a 30% decrease in pay, and I only managed to save a few $100s a month. I am downsizing, selling my house, renting my grandparents' guest house, and going to a job that pays about 20 less than what I currently make, which was going to pay about $72,000 a year in the Austin, Texas area, but just couldn't make the numbers meet at that rate. A decent raise and I wouldn't have to really worry about money again. Some of these other comments are insane. I guess either they live in a very expensive area, have a lot of kids, are the some worker of the household, or spend money like it's going out of style. Apparently a large chunk of people on Reddit make over 100k a year according to this thread. Braces and glasses for my son, who keeps breaking his. Car repairs. I could finally get my wisdom teeth out. I could probably find a slightly nicer apartment. More groceries. Teens eat so damn much. I'd go on a vacation and sit my ass on the beach all day. I'd actually be able to start saving money. A massive reduction in stress and anxiety. That's pretty close to where I'm at. I can say that when I moved from around $50,000 to around $70,000, it caused a significant increase in quality of life. While I am still not making enough to have a solid nest egg, I am no longer stressed about paying bills, and I generally can buy the things I want. The resulting increase in mental health is significant. Honestly, it's roughly my dream wage. I think $80,000 would be flawless. $50,000 and I don't worry about bills or expenses anymore. But at 70 or 80 I can comfortably invest in myself and my community. Any more would be superfluous, and I doubt I could make more without a trash work-life balance or taking advantage of others. I would be able to live in my own space without dealing with anyone else. Just me and my dog. My mental health would improve drastically. I would be able to treat myself to more goodies rather than the bare minimum. And I would probably gain weight from having a kitchen and space to cook. I'd be way happier. That's a sneaky way to see what people make. But you should also ask where they live to get better data. Anyone living in Manhattan will probably tell you that's low, and that it would be hard to make ends meet. Small town people in developing countries would probably feel great about this level of income. The national median household income is $74,000, so this would be around the ballpark of what a lot of households make a year. This would include incomes of 2 people. Depending on location, you can make a decent living. Nothing because I have little interest in possessions or the conventional life, professional fulfillment, house, family, spouse, etc. All I want is to chill and pursue my hobbies, which happen to be very cheap in the first place. I guess it would mean certain conveniences. It would be more, but not life-changing. I might be able to buy a used automobile and rent a cheap 1-bedroom. I'd have a bit more breathing room, but I would not be able to purchase any property, raise a family, or even retire on that amount. Screw Canada. CDL drivers pretty much can start at $9,100K a year. It is not for everyone. I've seen how it can stress out a guy day-to-day hauling 80k pounds. It's a big responsibility, but if you want real money in an industry that will never tell you no, this is it. It would mean I wouldn't be broke as soon as I'm paid and then waiting until next payday for the same thing. But it's not much more than I make now. But I have breathing room. Used to make $85k a year and I regret leaving the job and moving now. Extreme reduction in stress and anxiety. I see some people joking about it being a pay cut, but the average US income is around $35,000 a year. For a significant portion of the US, $70,000 a year would be life-changing. It's always interesting to see people flabbergasted at a $70k a year income. Reddit seems to be full of tech workers, lol. Like people with degrees and a decade of experience in some cases don't even make $70k. For me, catastrophe. I have a mortgage and a family that all depend on my single salary. I made $70k about 15 years ago, and even then it was a struggle to keep everything covered. Now it would be impossible. Pay cut and I might have to look at selling my house, as I probably couldn't keep up with the mortgage payments, and the repairs on aging appliances. I've already rebuilt the dryer twice and the furnace once. In today's exchange rate, that is 345k Brazilian reais. Divided by 12, it's 28k monthly. I live with roughly 10k monthly and I live a very comfortable life. Earning almost 3x that, and I'll feel like a king. To me, like the rest of the people in the world making global average not median salary, it'd mean a nearly 7-fold increase in money. Even if it's before tax, it'd be beyond life-changing. It'd be okay, but this is almost having my income. I'm in a high-call area, so this isn't rich where I live. I could cover my expenses, but I would have to cut back severely on excess spending. I live in a high cost of living area, so really all that would do is allow me to finally deposit some money into my savings account, and possibly take a decent vacation once a year. To me it would be a reduction of what I already make being self-employed. For others it would be life-changing, especially in a market where the cost of living was much lower. A massive reduction in income. A better question is, what if you weren't paying 40% of your income to the federal government? How much would those savings mean to you? It would mean being able to afford going on vacation once in a while and saving more for retirement, rather than most of it going towards staying alive and dry. This amount in my country is good, I'll take it. Our housing is somewhat government controlled, so I don't have to pay rent. It's done with the pension money. It would definitely change my whole life. Gotta get by with the breadcrumbs until I get my nursing degree. Then things may change a little for the best. In my area, that would make me extremely rich and easily able to afford a home and purchase vehicles in full. Granted, I don't decide to have kids, lol. It would be world changing. I might be able to spend more time with my daughter, pay back loans for college, pay off one car and fix my partner's car. If I get 70k where I live, it would make my life a lot nicer. However, I've been to the US and 70k in New Jersey or New York seems to be the bare minimum. That'd be around 310 wage increase, yes, no typo, 310. Mind you, I'm earning in the top 20 percentile in my country already. Double my wages. I could buy a house, get a newer car, take holidays, get takeouts, catch up with pension payments. It would be life-changing. Major pay raise. I need that to get by. I literally cannot afford my bills anymore. I'm drowning and have downsized everything as much as I can. A pay cut, but no major changes in my lifestyle. I was making that a couple of years ago, and my monthly bills have essentially stayed the same. I was earning around that during my last co-op term and it didn't really impact my life in a significant way besides bolstering my investments. I'm about to get my CDLA, so it would be an insult after that. Looking would mean I'd have gotten it 20 or so years ago. That would put me in upper middle class here. I make 46k right now and that's still higher than average. Our wages are so low in my area. If I convert them into my country's currency, I'll live like a king, and if it's already converted, I'd still live like a Nigerian prince. My wife could stop working so she can finally dedicate more time to her health issues, and I might have a little left over to save. It would be 13.5 times more than I earn now. On the other hand, my job gives me housing, food, water, etc. I'm at the army.